Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we are talking about the phrase or the term New Age. The question comes from Cara, Elliptica24, and the exact text will be in the description as usual, but the basic question is about this term New Age that gets used in a lot of books and websites and by a lot of people in reference to paganism and anything really having to do with paganism, the kinds of practices that we use, the magic that we use, it all gets referred to as New Age. And the question is, what do we feel about this, and do we ever get offended because things that are labeled New Age are actually very old practices? And do we feel that there is any sort of negative connotation to the term? I'm going to make this response pretty short, partly because I don't really have a huge, long, elaborate response to this. It is a pretty simple answer for me, and also because I'm at my boyfriend's house for the week and the internet is very slow, so I am recording this on Monday night, hoping that I will be able to get it up by Tuesday afternoon. So very quickly, and as simply as I can, as with all things, basically, or as with most things, I suppose, things that can be said or names that we can be called, the negative or positive connotation really comes with the way people are saying it and what their intent is. I have been called New Age as an insult, and of course then it has a negative connotation because you know that it's coming from a negative place. That person has a negative connotation of the term and they are using that to try and make me feel bad in some way. However, I also know a lot of people who use the term New Age in a very positive light, and I have been referred to in that manner as well. So it definitely depends on who it's coming from and whether they mean it to have a negative connotation. In itself, I do not believe that the term New Age has an inherently negative connotation. I think that people have given it a negative connotation because of the way they feel about things, or because of the way that a lot of pagan and other related things are termed New Age. Anyone who thinks that paganism and related things are bad or evil or negative or what have you, they would then also think that New Age is bad because they equate pagan things with New Age things, and if you automatically think those things are bad, then of course the term is going to have a negative connotation to you. But no, I personally do not believe that that term has an inherently negative connotation, and I am not offended by it in itself. You know, if someone were to use it to me in a positive light, I wouldn't say, oh, thank you very much, but please don't use that term because it has a negative connotation. No, because I don't think it does. What I think is really being referred to, and I know I've mentioned this before, what I think is being referred to when we say New Age is all of these things and ideas, concepts, practices, religions, beliefs, whatever it is, all of these things are the things that are associated with the new age of thought, this new thing that the world is kind of going into. And yes, you make a good point, Tara, that it is all, Tara, that it is all older stuff, really. And I mean, when you think about it, history repeats itself. So these concepts were new at one point, and then something else took over, and now it's considered a new thing again because it's something new that we're moving into. It's something that the world hasn't experienced as the mainstream norm for a really long time. So what I think people are referring to is this new age of the world, and this new age of thought, and this progression that people are making towards something else. It did happen before, and it is happening now, and it has been happening a little bit throughout the entire time. But this is kind of an idealistic notion for me, at least, you know, to be able to think that the entire world is kind of coming into a new realm of thought, and these things are becoming more and more prevalent because people have continued to do them, and more people are catching on. So when you think about it that way, a lot more than just pagan and magic related things could be thought of as New Age. Anything that, if you look around in politics, sports, religion, culture in general, fashion, anything like that, anywhere that you can see the world moving towards something that seems kind of new. It was always around, but more and more people are getting into it. I have a few things in mind, but I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to influence maybe what you're thinking. You might have some things popping into your mind that, yeah, I've seen people moving all towards this new way of thinking. it's not all necessarily pagan stuff, magic stuff, whatever. I think any of those things could be considered New Age, because what I feel the term is talking about is that new push into a new area of thinking, a new way of being, of living, of whatever. But yes, a lot of things associated with paganism and the stuff that we do is called New Age. And there are New Age sections of bookstores, and that's where we go to find stuff, but it's also where you go to find yoga and other, it's not all necessarily magic, witchcraft, pagan, but it's those other non-Abrahamic things, it's these other ways of thought. And they're not new, they're not at all. But no, I don't think that being called New Age is automatically an insult, because it really is old, I just think you always have to kind of know your audience, or in this case, know your speaker. You have to know what the person who's saying it means. I did get a really, you could tell that it was meant to be a negative comment. A year or so ago, sometime last year, someone called me a New Age space cadet. Now, I knew that within the context of their comment, they meant that to be a really negative thing. But someone else could say that to me, and it would be a totally positive thing, so it really just depends. Very good question. That's how I feel about it, and I'm going to leave it at that. I will see you next week. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.